As a result, Charlie faced additional charges for the assaults. Eventually, details that helped them locate the general.
Finally. But now I'm suppressed, so... Oh. I'm back. And worse than ever. Where are all the atheists? Where are they? Where are they? What is it? 1 Corinthians chapter 1. I like the amplified version. Where is the wise man, the philosopher? Where's the scholar? Where's the debater of this age? Has God not exposed the foolishness of this world's wisdom? For since the world, through all its earthly wisdom, failed to recognize God, God, in his wisdom, was well pleased through the foolishness of the message preached regarding salvation to save those who believe in Christ. For Jews demand signs, attesting miracles, and Greeks pursue worldly wisdom and philosophy. But we preach Christ crucified, a message which is, and Greeks, Christ is the power of God and the wisdom of God. This is because the foolishness of God is not foolishness at all, and is wiser than men, far beyond human comprehension. And the weakness of God is stronger than men, far beyond the limits of human effort. Just look at your own calling. Believers, not many of you were not many of you were considered wise according to human standards. Not many powerful or influential. Not many of high and noble birth. But God has selected for his purpose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise, revealing their ignorance. And God has selected the weak things of the world to shame the things which are strong, revealing their frailty. God has selected the insignificant things of the world, and the things that are despised and treated with contempt, even the things that are nothing, so that he might reduce to nothing the things that are, so that no one may be able to boast in the presence of God. But it is for him that you are in Christ Jesus, who became to us wisdom from God, revealing his plan of salvation and righteousness, making us acceptable to God, and sanctification, making us holy and setting us apart for God, and redemption, providing our ransom for the penalty for sin. So then, as it is written in Scripture, He who boasts and glories, let him boast and glory in the Lord. I was reading a book the other day that was talking about the Christian concept of redemption, and that he thought that we should use a different word because redemption doesn't have the significance in our time as it did in the time of Jesus. So in Rome, if you were kidnapped and you become a slave, you would like lose your citizen status, and you like your wife could get remarried, your heirs would receive your inheritance. You basically didn't exist in Rome. But if a family member or the state paid, in some instances they would pay your ransom, and then if your ransom's paid, you get the full rights of Roman citizenship restored to you, and you have no obligation to repay this the debt that was paid for your ransom. So you're made free again. You're made, and so this is what Jesus does for us in redemption, that we were sort of like citizens in heaven, or like maybe citizens of God or something, and we were captured by sin, and we're in the bondage of sin. We completely are dead in God. Like the Roman citizen, when they're a slave, they get wiped off the ledger. They're no longer a citizen. So when we're in bondage to sin, we're dead. We're not a citizen to God. It's like we've unalived. And so when Jesus pays the ransom, and then we are restored, we are redeemed as citizens of God again. So we're made new, like whole. I don't know. Sort of like redemption is referring to this like socio-economic institution in Rome, where like your family or the state, in some instances, would pay your ransom and give you full citizenship back. De-alienation would be the word we should use, as opposed to like alienation would be a better word. But the problem is, I don't think many people are really familiar with Karl Marx and the concept of alienation. So I don't think that would really work in America, at least. In America. Welcome, Haiku.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, I have my thing muted. Oops. Okay. Welcome.
Happy New Year's.
Yes, Happy New Year's. You're going to hell.
I love you too, man.
Yeah. Well, I say it because I love you, right? I'm trying to warn you. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah, okay, cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um, I really am trying to understand this argument, and I just haven't yet. Can you define for me intelligibility?
Being able to like understand the world.
So just being able to make sense of it.
Yeah.
All right. And then how different is that from rationality?
Rationality. Um. Well, I think it's like necessary for rationality. Like you have to understand the world to rationality would be like correct thinking about the world. So intelligibility would be like a precondition for rationality, I would say.
All right. All right. So if there is no God, then there's nothing that would hold everything to a standard where what happens continues to happen as it happened. Is that why the intelligibility piece?
Um well, it's like God as a unifying principle. We need to be able to like connect our mind to the objects of knowledge. That's a unity. So to be able to understand the world, we need to know like who we are, what the world is, and how we're connected. That's what's necessary for intelligibility, and God provides that through revelation.
Who we are, what the world is, and what was the third?
How they're like connected, how like we can know the world, this connection between us and the world, so that we can know the world. God's like the connection.
And that was a pre. Those three things were preconditioned for what?
Intelligibility.
For making sense.
Yeah, we have to know what we are, what the world is, and like how we're connected to know the world. To put our mind. Uh Thanks, Love Fix. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So why is the connection piece necessary? How we're connected to understanding something.
Well, if your mind isn't in contact with the objects of knowledge, then you don't really know anything, or you're kind of just like stuck in your head. Like solipsism kind of.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a default for sure. Um,
Well, I think I would say it's we start with our consciousness and like sense data, and then like the method is reasoning is like the method we that to get knowledge, and then the conclusion is that like the ultimate starting point is God. So they're all like related. We need to have us. We're the proximate starting point. Reasoning's the method, and the conclusion is God is the ultimate starting point, and they're all interrelated.
is the argument there's no way for connecting the self or the mind to the world without a God?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
and
no,
what
there's
makes
no connections between anything. The system is all loose and disjointed. That's what David Hume described it as. There's no we don't observe connections or similarities to things, so there's no empirical proof for that, and there's no rational proof for that either. So
so what about just like past predictability, like the fact that things have continued a certain predictable way continually in our experience, in our data collection?
yeah, that's it doesn't work. Here I have like a
Like I understand you can't infer that it will always continue to do so, especially with unknown variables, but
this this
if it
is
has done so, you could say pragmatically, like you have pretty good reason to base your predictions on those things. Yeah.
well, it's still that's a type of blind faith. It's not really a good reason because like here, this is a philosopher of science. He's very famous, Lakatos. I can't ever pronounce his name. But he says one can today easily demonstrate that there can be no valid derivation of a law of nature from any finite number of facts. So it doesn't matter how many times we observe a phenomena, you can't say that there's like this law of nature based on that, which is what they do, right? But it's
Yeah, and
invalid move.
I have contention.
If we're being technical and logical, it's an invalid move to do that. But we do it because we have to.
Well, I take contention with. I've always taken contention with science that says this is and always will be the case, and or any 100% degree of certainty. Um, for example, in college, I asked my professor I think it was geology class, like, how do we know what the Earth's core is made out of? He says, well, we send down certain sound waves and they bounce back in a certain pattern, and we know that nickel and iron at a certain temperature would produce the same effects. And I'm like, yeah, but what if there's an unknown element or unknown variable we haven't yet discovered that produces the same effect? And he said, well, yeah, like that's the mind of a scientist. We would have to discover it, but until then, we just make an assumption. So
Yeah.
I I mean, I don't have a problem with science outside of a God saying that these things are the things we expect, but without 100-degree certainty, with understanding there could be unknown variables. Because if there is a God, that would be an unknown variable.
Well, yeah, it's not about certainty though. Like for science to even be possible, there has to be repeatable results. And for there to be repeatable results, there needs to be some type of like order. So it's not about like being certain. It's like this is a fundamental parameter of reality that's necessary to make science possible. Now, it has nothing to do with whether the data, we're certain that the data is true.
Well, no, but a certainty that it will continue to behave a certain. In other words,
Oh, you
you
mean
can
like you just assume that nature will be regular? Is that what you're saying?
like if everything you have observed shows it to be regular, then you can't say for 100% sure that it will always continue that way, but you can say, look, it's always done that, so I have a high degree of certainty, not
Yeah,
100%, but a high degree of
sure.
certainty.
But well, no, that's an invalid move. So what you're doing is like you just that's just blind faith. So if we're allowed to just like believe things without evidence, then I could just say, well, God exists without evidence, right? That's an invalid move to me. Like if we're
I
going to
mean,
be logical,
yeah, yeah, technically there's no evidence that it will continue to do so, but there is experience that it has done so continually, and therefore the way our brains build schema,
but
uh,
that means
patterns patterns are recognized, right?
that means all scientific like inferences are based on like something you have blind faith in. That's a big problem. That makes that like invalidates and undermines all scientific inquiry. So that's why I suggest like be a Christian because Christianity is consistent with science.
So if a scientist were to, in everything that they believe, say if things continue as they have, then blank, like that's acceptable, yeah, that's logical.
If they believe it, it's not logical to believe that there's going to be order or regularity in nature.
No, I'm saying when they establish these so-called laws, right? They
Yeah.
can say if things continue as they have, then this will be the law. That's logic.
Um, I mean, I guess, but that's not a law then, because like the whole idea of a law is that like it applies universally and it doesn't change. That's what it means to be a law.
Yeah, until even with all scientific laws, until they meet the unknown variable, right? Until they meet the new thing that they haven't before encountered. So like the speed of light was constant until it wasn't.
I thought it's still constant. I didn't.
No, it can be slowed down or sped up depending on the filters.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, like you can look that up.
I
I don't
haven't
think
looked
that's
into that. I think it's just like if it goes through a medium, it just takes longer to travel through the medium, but it still maintains the same. It has to do with frequency.
maybe potato. I'm not sure, but
So, anyways,
but pick any. I guess pick any law that's changed, any scientific law that's changed over the year, over the decades.
well, I don't think they do change, but we still have to like justify our beliefs. We can't just like assume things are true with faith, blind faith.
Like Newtonian physics, for example, uh, needed Einstein for certain areas. Like practically they're okay for gravity,
Yeah.
but then you get into areas where they're not.
Well, that's the thing is like people always tell me, oh, when scientists are presented with evidence that goes against their theory, then they abandon their theory because, um, science is always open to the evidence changing their theories, but they're not because you never hear a scientist talk about a refutation. They talk about anomalies. So, like, all scientific theories have anomalies, which are like data points that are inconsistent with the theory. And rather than like abandon their theory because it's false, what they do is they invent excuses to explain the anomaly, and if they can't come up with an excuse, they just ignore it, and that's
That
kind
sounds
of
like
bullshit.
a flat earther.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's actually true. Like that's what the flat earthers do. Anytime you present like here's a picture of the globe, they'll go, "Oh, well that could be CGI." That's called like ad hoc rescue. But the funny thing is scientists literally do the same thing. They might be more sophisticated than a flat earther, but they're technically doing the same thing when evidence comes up that goes against their theory or what they just come up with an ad hoc rescue like the flat earthers do. Like it's It's kind of funny, but it's the they really it is true.
Yeah, and there's a you would admit there's a lot of believers who do the same thing. They don't understand their own beliefs.
Um, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like unreasonable people,
Yeah.
but that's by design, I think, because having like an intelligent population doesn't really benefit people in power. People in power probably want like dumb people that can't figure out they're being screwed.
Um, I mean, I could see certain systematic pieces in place, but as a former teacher, like I can assure you, teachers do their dangest to help the population become educated.
Yeah,
Like
but they're
now, there could be systematic pieces like teacher to class size being too large, like too many students per teacher, but teachers
sure,
do
but
their best.
I know they do their best, but they're like subject to powers beyond their control. Like think about curriculum. Like there's a million subjects we could teach kids, and we pick these like certain. We select what English, math, science. You know, we selectively pick subjects to teach them, and it's like arbitrary, right?
Well, I mean, like I think I think if you can read and write and understand math to a high degree, you should have capability for critical thought with logic
Yeah, you should.
and uh, literature.
When
But there's class sizes that are too large. There's disciplinary problems that you can't fix because of the system. There's other reasons. I don't know that the content, like the main subjects, are the cause.
For example, like thinking critically, you have to like examine both sides, all the evidence, and then come to your own conclusion. But like in school, they don't do that. They just like indoctrinate you. Like they people leave school thinking like science is the shit, and they have never heard like any of the criticisms of science. And I had to like do all that on my own and like find out all this stuff about science where there's lots of holes, and it's not like really a good way to prove things. But people are convinced, indoctrinated to think like science is the best way to prove anything, and this is like really not true.
Yeah, but you would agree the STEM has produced significant, I guess, cultural, societal changes with technology and such.
Yeah,
And then literature the same. And then history. I mean, it's just good to have a general knowledge of history.
yeah.
It's like my understanding for the secondary school is these subjects, which we do offer philosophy, we do offer other classes. I taught Bible as literature as an elective, but uh,
In
we
public school,
yeah, but
really.
but we don't force these upon anyone because you really just need the basics to be able to discover for yourself. So the school system that you learned from also gave you some of the knowledge that you used to then discover what you needed later.
From what I understand, like it's Bertrand Russell. He said it's the most influential form of propaganda. Like you get the kids in young and kindergarten, you indoctrinate them, and then you have them like the rest of their lives. I think schools are really insidious, and I'm against education. In like a public in like a state education. Like I think parents should homeschool.
I I think I don't think all parents should homeschool. Um, I also think 1 to 1, or 1 to 5 would be a much better learning environment than 40 to 1.
True. I got Autumn is requesting to come up. Do you mind if I give someone else?
Yeah, no, thanks for answering my questions.
You're welcome,
Appreciate you.
man. I wish you well. What's
Hello.
up, Autumn?
Not a whole lot. I'm just hanging out here. Um, so can you like explain the claim made on your screen?
Um, sure. So, like for knowledge and truth, there's going to be preconditions. Um,
Okay.
like, like I was saying with the last guest, one of the preconditions for knowledge is going to be we have to know what we are, what the world is, and how we're connected, and we can only know that through like God revealing that to us.
Wait, what's the argument that we have to know these things?
They're just preconditions for knowledge. Because if you don't know that, like,
Wait, can we define who we are by ourselves? Like, what's the contradiction there?
we don't know, like, where did we come from? Like, what created a human?
Oh, like wait. So like we have to know or else we don't know anything?
You have to know what you are, like, what is the self, right?
Wait, like what do you mean when you say self there?
Like, the collection of, I don't know, what your memories, your senses, your feelings.
Wait, but you don't know those things about yourself? Like I'm confused.
Yeah, but it's like, what are they? Are you like, are they
Wait,
physical?
well, if we know that they're just like chemicals in the brain interacting with each other, structures in our brain that allow us to have the capacity to do that, then yeah, I think we're good.
No, we don't know that though,
Wait, how do we not know that?
because the self is like a metaphysical claim. Science doesn't tell us what the self is.
What? You just said like our memories, like things that like are all able to be contracted like physically in the brain, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but they're all like connected. Like, you're not only your memories. You're like all these things. You're like what? Like your senses, your
yeah.
emotions, your memories, your,
Yeah.
I don't know, reasoning. What, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I can't think of it off the top of my head, but like there's all these things that make you you, and they're all connected, but they're different. So it's like, what is connecting them to make the self? What is that thing? Is it like a physical thing? Is it an immaterial
I
thing?
would say it's probably energy.
Yeah, but you don't know. That's a problem.
Yeah, you don't know either.
No, but in Christianity, God tells us that we're made of dirt. We're made
Wait,
from
God told you? Are you hearing stuff,
yes.
guys?
We believe God communicates to the world.
Wait, has God communicated to you?
Yeah, He communicated to everyone.
Wait, wait, when did he communicate to me? Was I not there? Was I like spacing out? What was happening?
He's revealing Himself to you all the time. He's obvious, and when you look at the world, you see order in the world. The order was put there by the mind of God, so that's revealing the mind of God, the order in the world.
Wait, okay, but that all could be explained, right? Like through energy, like energy
No.
holding things together. Yes. The energy could in nature be like structured and all of this stuff. Like it could potentially be like a structured type of energy where it's not necessarily like chaotic as in such, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but if we're just talking about, oh, it could be this, could be that. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you're saying too. You're saying it
no,
could be this, and I am giving
there's
you
necessary.
another option as to what it could be, and you have nothing in response to say.
But your option isn't an option if it's make believe. Like
Your option isn't an option if it's make believe.
yeah, but God's not make believe. I didn't just
God
make.
is make believe because he hasn't revealed himself to me. Therefore, to me, he doesn't exist.
But then, okay, well, what's the proof that we're living in a non-revelatory environment? How did you determine that something can be independent of God?
Wait. No, what's the proof that we are living in a revelatory environment? Because
Well,
you're saying, okay, that's like me saying, what's the proof that unicorns don't exist, right?
the proof is that all human thought ultimately depends on God, and denying Him
Wait,
leads to
I have a
incorrect.
question. We don't know that God exists, right? But we do know that energy exists.
We know God exists more than we know energy exists. We're more certain that
Huh?
God exists. We're more certain.
No,
We would have the highest degree of certainty of God. That would be the thing we're most certain of is God.
Okay,
Then
okay.
second to that
That's
would
so
be like
disingenuous.
something
You
like
say we don't know that energy exists?
not without God. Not if you didn't know God. You wouldn't know anything.
So we do know energy exists, just to be clear.
Christians, if Christianity is true, we know energy exists. If Christianity isn't true, we wouldn't know energy exists.
I'm so sorry. That's insane. Because if we already know energy exists and energy could also explain the same exact things that we're seeing, right? It makes more sense for it to be energy.
Oh my god. It
We
doesn't
already know energy exists for a
it's
fact, like
literally-
with empirical evidence and everything. Like, do you understand? Oh,
I got my phone was getting batteries low message.
you should probably plug it in. But yeah, like I'm just asking, like, you're supposed to be arguing with me.
Well, but you're just saying like, oh, it could be energy. I don't know, like.
And you're saying, oh, it could be God. Congratulations, we're in the same boat because neither of us know.
No, I do know. We
How do you know?
we have a working model of reality, and your model of reality
Whoa.
is like, oh, it could be energy. It doesn't make any sense.
You're just saying the same thing. I said it
No.
very well could be energy, and you are just like presupposing that it could be God because that's your first premises. It like is that like God is the necessary foundation for this when it could be energy, and you know that.
How could it be energy? What is energy? It's like force. What is it like? What the fuck is energy? Like, is it speed times matter or something like that?
I think so. I think it's speed times matter, but
So how does that explain anything?
yeah, so like that could just be the eternal thing, like the eternal one thing that is like built on everything else and like grounds rationality because it produces in its nature a consistent like repeatable outcome.
What? They just like assume like why don't I just believe in God? That actually makes sense, and this is nonsense.
Wait, no, because this is just energy.
Energy.
Like it's not the difference here is yours has like a conscious mind that interacts with its creation, right? Like mine wouldn't have a conscious mind. It's just the energy and what it naturally does, and it wouldn't have interaction with its creation. It just is the reason it exists.
Yeah. Okay. So there's like just a colossal amount of problems with what you're saying. It's
Okay, yeah, spill.
really laughable. Like I don't know why you're doing this. Like.
Okay, yeah, can you point them out? Like I was actually waiting for you to point out the problems.
I mean, one of the problems is you said it doesn't interact with us. Well, then that just a concession that you have no evidence anything you're saying is true. So that's a big thing. Because we can't just are we debating our imaginations? Because what's the
No,
point
we're
of that?
debating what we can
Anime
see, like what we perceive about this world.
Yeah, but just because you perceive something doesn't mean it's real. So
To me, it's real, right?
yeah, but there has to be like an objective truth between us to debate. And for there to be objective truth, there has to be a mind outside of humanity that would make things.
No. Big jump.
Not big
No.
jump.
Because, like, okay, our senses very well could not be reliable, correct?
No.
Huh?
If our senses are unreliable, there's no truth or knowledge.
Okay. What about
must
blind
have
people?
reliable
Are their
senses.
senses? What about Helen Keller? Are her senses reliable?
Are her senses reliable? What senses does she have? I suppose they would be, right?
I think she couldn't hear, she couldn't see, so she could taste, and
don't know
touch.
I've heard Helen Keller didn't exist. That's what people tell me.
Bro, now you're just running. This is cope. What if I right now became blind and deaf?
Still,
Are my senses reliable?
Yeah, you would still have reliable senses like of taste and touch.
Well, people can have like hallucinations with their taste. Did you know that? So that's what if I start having taste hallucinations?
Yeah, but hallucinations don't mean that your senses aren't reliable. That's what
Wait. What then? What does that mean? What's a hallucination?
Reliable doesn't mean like 100% accurate, right? Reliable means like accurate enough to like, gain.
Well, what if I'm just like every single thing I eat, I have like a taste hallucination that it tastes like poop?
Well, then that sucks, I guess.
No, 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 no. What I'm saying is our senses are unreliable even if we like can rely on our senses, right, to like look at the world around us and make conclusions about it, right?
No, our senses they have to be reliable. You can't to say your senses are
No, what I'm saying is we can use our senses to see other people have senses that aren't reliable.
you can't see other people have senses. You don't sense that.
Oh my gosh. If I see somebody or talk to somebody and I hear them tell me I'm blind, I'm deaf, I'm schizophrenic, I see things that aren't there, I taste things, I hear things that aren't there, whatever the case may be. Like that's me using my senses to come to the conclusion that other people's senses may not be reliable.
Hey, Adam.
Hi.
Say hi. Just say phenomenal conservatism. That's what.
What?
That's what
I'm
you're
not a
trying to get at.
conservative. Are
No,
you
no, 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 no,
you want to
no, no.
debate me on my profile picture?
No. Listen. Phenomenal conservatism is when we base our logic based off the seemings of what we see around us. Unless he can give us a reason to believe that our seemings are unreliable, we can rely that our seemings are logical. Yeah, I'm on your side.
That's just
Thank you.
begging.
I thought that you were trying to argue my PFP.
Begging the
People get mad about it.
question.
No.
That's not like what's the justification for that? That's what I'd be asking.
Well, the justification it would be more like you would have to justify that my seemings are false.
Yeah, but that doesn't work. That's just nonsense. That's just
Why wouldn't it work?
You're just ignoring the issue.
Well, that's begging the question.
What?
Yeah, you're begging the question. You're begging the question of why we can't just rely on our senses.
Oh my god, dude.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Look, I perceive something. Therefore, it seems like it's real. Therefore, it's real. That's
You're missing the point of
move.
contention where like you can justify that your seemings aren't real.
All right. Well, it seems like Jesus Christ is God. Prove me wrong.
Well, prove that he existed.
It seems like he existed.
How does it seem like he existed?
Oh, it seems like the Bible's true.
Why do you seem like the Bible is true?
It seems like it.
Why does it seem like it?
It seems like it.
Why?
Fuck you.
That was really funny. Mars, are you having a good morning?
What a moron.
You think I'm a moron?
No, that last guest.
I think he wasn't a moron. He seemed really nice.
What does it seem like that? He just did this whole spiel about how, it just seems like that, so therefore it's true. And I go, oh, okay, well, it seems like Jesus is God. I mean, and then he immediately like goes into bullshit mode. See how easy it is? Like their positions are nonsense. Why do you want to be with like the dumb people? Why don't you want to be a Christian?
They're not dumb. He's not dumb. He was making a good point, I think.
No, he's not. Phenomenal. Sure, you could be a phenomenal conservative, but is phenomenal conservatism true? Like, who cares that you can claim something? I can claim God exists. Does that make it true just because I claim it? We have to prove our views. So.
All right. Well, do you want me to hop off, or can I argue precept with you for funsies?
I mean, for funsies, I'm for real.
Okay, then I'll be for real.
Yeah, right.
You don't trust me that I'll be for real?
No.
Oh no,
You were telling me that like.
Oh no.
You were telling me that energy could replace God. Hey, Darth, can you come up here? Or are you like, is your account silenced?
Shadow bananaed.
I just got banned. Yeah, I have a strike now, so that means that I get suppressed in the algorithm, right?
Yeah, that happened to my main account too.
So if I make a new account and that doesn't have a strike, then that will be okay, right? That's what I think I'm gonna have to do. Probably.
I just made a third account, but I'm mainly using it to troll for now.
Are you self-aware of your intelligence?
I try to be. I try to look into stuff. I mean, yeah.
Do you think you're above average intelligent?
I mean, I'm not gonna make any claims about my own intelligence.
Oh, that's pretty intelligent of you.
Thanks.
Yeah. I wouldn't do
Do you
that
think
either.
that you're above average intelligence?
Um, I wouldn't want to say that. I would just tell people I'm dumb because honestly, like human standards of intelligence
Mhm.
are pathetic anyway. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't really
get that.
care. I don't really care what people like humans think. You know, it's just all that matters is what Jesus thinks.
I mean, I think Jesus said some pretty cool stuff, I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't become a Christian because of the transcendental argument for God. I became a Christian because when I read the Bible and I heard what Jesus said, it's like, duh, this is true. No, duh. It made sense. And I realized
Well, I mean, that could also mean Islam is true. What
yeah,
separated you from Islam or Mormonism for that fact?
well, like Islam invaded Africa and set up like slave markets, and
Mhm.
they have slaves today in Islam. They have
Well,
treat
I
women.
would push back on that by saying there are a lot of Christian places around the world that practice FGM, but I will admit to you that that is more heavily practiced in Islam. Or like not in Islam, like the religion itself, but in like Islamic tribes, like particularly in Africa, because I
Uh,
think that FGM originates in like I think ancient Egypt.
huh. Yeah,
So I think they took those
that's pretty
practices and
weird.
applied them to Christianity.
That's pretty weird too. Like it's probably like Christians in Africa or something,
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
and they're probably influenced by Islam.
Mm-hmm. But no,
So
it doesn't come from Islam. It comes from ancient Egypt, and they were doing like polytheistic stuff at the time.
no, well, I don't know. All I know is, like, I feel like if someone is violent and they're a Muslim, they can justify violence with the Quran. But like, if a Christian is violent, like, obviously Christians sometimes, or people who claim to be Christian are violent.
Yeah, and then they use the Bible to justify it, like how they did
Yeah,
use the Bible to
but they
justify
can't.
slavery at the time. And
They
before you
can't.
say the
No.
slave Bible, I will tell you the slave Bible came out way after slavery started. Like it came out in like the 1800s or something. Slavery started around 16 something. So and they used the regular Bible to the same one we use today to justify it before then.
If a Christian justifies like violence using the Bible, they're being a hypocrite because Jesus said to love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. So we're like,
But Jesus also said, "Slaves, obey your masters."
no, Paul said that. Okay,
No,
so
Jesus said that.
no, Paul said
You want me
it.
to get the verse?
Yeah, it's Paul. I know for a fact that's Paul. And
It's in red.
it's Paul.
It's in the. That's
I
funny.
know for a fact it's Paul that said that. It comes from I can't remember which letter. So the slave Christian slaveholders, I put Christian in quotes, right? The Christian slaveholders in America, like pre-Civil War. I read their material. I did research on this, and they don't use the verses in the Bible in the Old Testament that you deconstruction TikTokers like to point to justify slavery. They never use those Bible verses because they understood the difference between what's being described in the Old Testament that you guys think is slavery. They understood that was different from antebellum slavery. So, what they would use, they would argue for something called the curse of Ham. And the curse of Ham was this like racist doctrine that like people with dark skin had this like curse of Ham, and it was like a mark that they're like not humans or something like that. And so this was just like a time period where people were racist. There was scientific racism at this time period, right?
I think a lot of it also. Wait, I don't know when Mormonism started, but Mormonism has like a particular set of verses that's like God made people black as like a curse and like white and delightsome and stuff.
Yeah,
Because
Autumn, you were gravely mistaken. God bless you, Precept. This
yeah.
is found in Paul's letters.
Yes, that's
Wait,
Paul.
so wait, was Paul not receiving revelation from God?
No, Yes, no, but we're fixing the mistake that you did when you said it was
Yeah,
Jesus, right?
yeah, because I found out that it's part of a parable. Oh wait, it's Matthew 5:41. That wasn't the one I
No,
was.
it's Paul.
I
Paul
think it was
says, "Slaves, obey your masters," but he also says, "You guys, what you guys take out of context." He says that masters should like love their slaves. Too.
And by the way, he said that we're all one under Christ in Galatians 3. He
Because
says, neither Jew neither Jew nor Gentile nor slave, right? Nor women nor men. We're all equal under God. We're all one under Christ. We're all one under Christ.
at that time in Rome, Roman slavery was awful. It wasn't like ancient Israel. Let's describe it. In Rome, there was real slavery, and it was awful. And like 50% of the Roman population was enslaved. And that's why like Socrates and Plato could lay around all day doing philosophy, because they had slaves doing all the work for them. So
And by the way, just like Precept said, the word slave can easily be interpreted as a servant or as an indentured servitude. So he's talking about like an employer.
Well, no, that wasn't
situation.
all the slavery that was going on during biblical times, though. That
I
would
wouldn't
be.
agree with that, Egyptian, because slave has negative connotations, but servant doesn't necessarily have negative connotations, although it can. It would need extra context.
Yeah.
It's the same word. The Hebrew word aved has no. It's a neutral word. It doesn't have any negative connotation, but the word slave has a negative connotation. So it's just a bad word to use.
Yeah. So Precept, you were saying like when it comes to slavery in the Bible, it's not like antebellum slavery. It's
No.
more like indentured servitude, right?
I
No,
wouldn't-
not in all cases at all. Like that's just not true. There's verses talking about taking people from taking enslaved slaves from like the nations around you, keeping them for life, and even passing them on to your children.
Oh.
So like they were slaves for life. They didn't have freedom.
That's not true.
Especially if
They
they
were
were
getting paid.
captives
They were
of
getting
war,
paid.
because the word captive
true.
is shivya, which is like individuals forcibly taken as prisoners during warfare. So they didn't have a choice, and they were forced to do work.
No, that's not true. No,
No, that is true. Look at the actual word, and it also shivya also appears in like a sense of being like addicted to alcohol or an alcoholic, right? And that would indicate like a lack of freedom. It's used in Isaiah 5:13.
to describe Israel.
No, to describe like someone being an alcoholic and like a slave to alcohol.
But Adam also like Precept, when Paul says like for slaves to obey their master, a lot of commentators would say like if this isn't encouraging slavery, but it's saying that if someone happens to be in a position where he's a slave, then he shouldn't like revolt, because Christianity isn't a religion about violence or revolution, right? It's a religion of being peaceful and being a pacifist in a way, right?
Wait,
So
I
he's
have a
trying to
question.
like a slave shouldn't take their matter into their own hands and be violent and
Right.
revolt. They should just be pacifist.
Yeah,
That's
as
the
a-
message of
Right.
The Christian, we change the world with love. We don't change the world.
Exactly.
With,
So further question.
Exactly.
So further questions here. Could God, since he's like all powerful, given them the ability to function as a society without enslaved people? You know, being all loving, all
well,
powerful.
slavery is a result of sin, the bondage of sin.
Yeah, awesome, great.
Happens to be
Could
with
God
human
have
error.
given them?
So
It's a
it's
result of
No,
human
no,
error,
I'm
Adam.
asking this very specific question. Okay, I want you to understand my position. Okay, God very well could have created told them, hey, slavery is bad, we're not going to do it anymore. And I'm going to, in turn, give you the resources to not have to enslave people, right? That could be like
good.
animals. That could be like plants and vegetation, things like that. He could bless them with all of these things that would make it unnecessary for them to enslave people, beat people, all these things. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, why didn't he do that? Especially since it would make
Exodus.
that specific
Hello?
religion so much more distinct
Oh
from
my
other
gosh.
religions who promoted slavery.
Hello, he did. Exodus 21:16. Whoever steals a man and sells him, and anyone found in possession of him, shall be put to death. So if you were to engage
So the Bible
in slavery-
contradicts itself.
No, you just don't understand what you're talking about
No,
because
I
you're
do.
very
I
young
do.
and uninformed. No, you're just very uninformed.
I'm not uninformed. I know very well.
I
I
just
know a lot of
debunked
these
you
things are words that
instantly.
you don't
I
know
just
what the root of
instantly
them is,
debunked
what
you.
they mean.
Autumn, I instantly debunked you.
No, you didn't debunk me. You
Yes,
showed a
I did.
contradiction in your
You did.
Bible, dude. That's
Okay.
what you did.
What's more likely? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, or there's a contradiction in the Bible?
Wait, do you know what the word Shivya means?
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's fundamental to your claim.
Oh, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, she's not like responding to you, and you've
She
debunked
keeps
her.
being wrong over and over
Yeah,
again, and then she
exactly.
doesn't
Like,
admit she's wrong. She goes, "Oh no, there's a contradiction." No, you're just interpreting it incorrectly.
exactly. Oh, wait, what? Devil, stop. What are you saying? Like,
Here, look,
how? Like,
look,
peace up, like, destroyed her, bro. Like, yeah.
look. I have a book here. How do I do this? I forgot how to do this. Here, this will do it. Wait, poll. Let's do a poll. They're gonna vote for Autumn. Yeah, cry face for Autumn. Smiley face. Wait, why is it? I thought this would get rid of the. I have to do this. Okay. Boom. All right, I got a book here, right?
Sure.
This is
A version of Christianity. Okay.
academic book.
Yeah.
The guy's a Protestant. He's a professor at the University of Bordeaux in France, and so he taught he's like a sociologist. Hidden history was his like main thing.
Sure.
But he says here, oh crap, I don't have it. I don't have it linked. Dang it. He talks about slavery. He says in another book I have, he says there's virtually no slavery in ancient Israel. I suppose like you could argue like if you commit a crime and you're a prisoner, then you lose your freedom.
Yeah. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Like,
Gosh dang it! I wish I should have these like marked out.
but this idea of chattel or antebellum slavery is nowhere to be found in the Bible, right? Yeah. So
So he says that Christians ended slavery in Rome. Actually,
yes, sir. Yep.
They don't talk about that though. Oh, here it is. I found it.
And it's Christians who ended the slavery in the United States.
Yes.
Abolitionists.
Here, I'll read from the book. Okay, this guy's like a historian. I have to admit that Christian history took an incredibly sad turn in two other areas. The first concerns slavery, not all at once, but progressively under Christian influence, and not because of technical improvements, as is often stated today. Slavery disappeared in the Roman Empire. So he says, under Christian influence, slavery disappeared in the Roman Empire.
Wow.
It persisted, however, in remote corners of the Carolingian Empire. And then he goes, the incidence of this is negligible and episodic. The general thesis that there was no more slavery in Christendom is true. All right. The general that there was no more slavery in Christendom is true. All right. The general thesis that there was no more slavery in Christian nations is true. Thus, the proclamation that everyone in the Kingdom of France is free was correct, and it was even allowed, although perhaps theoretically, that the moment slaves arrived in France, the mere fact of setting foot on French soil made them free. This is wholly in keeping with Christian thinking. Then he goes, nevertheless, from the 15th century, with the development of knowledge of Africa, then especially in the 17th and 18th centuries, we have the familiar and dreadful history of enslaving of Africans who are torn from their own country and transported to America. What accusations have made against Christianity and the Western civilization, and rightly so. How lightly the revelation in Christ was taken, which would have totally and radically and unreservedly forbidden slavery. In the Middle Ages, the traffic in slaves would have undoubtedly led to excommunication. It is a curious fact, however, that apart from some conscientious historians, no one has put the elementary question of how it was that a few Western navigators could round up thousands of slaves from among peoples who were by no means sheep-like. So he's asking, like, how did we get all these like African slaves in the first place? And then he goes on to talk about how Islam, for years, centuries, had been invading, sending literal armies into Africa and setting up like slave markets and slave trade. It was Islam, and it was not Christianity.
And I
Largely,
think like there was like a council in the 4th century. Maybe that's what influenced also the eradication of slavery in the Roman Empire. There's a council in the 4th century, or maybe in the 5th century. It was like a local council where they condemned slavery. They said it's like heretical, it's a heresy. Christians cannot, if they are to be, if they want to remain in the church, they cannot hold slaves, right? So,
yeah. So the funny thing is, these deconstruction Christians, they think slavery is wrong, and the reason they think slavery is wrong is because they have Judeo-Christian values.
exactly.
They're using their Christian values to say that the Bible's bad. It's funny.
It's funny. It's so funny, yeah.
Precept utilizes Occam's broom. Yeah. Well, you've heard of Occam's razor.
Yeah, what's Occam's broom? I've heard of Occam's razor. What would Occam's broom be?
I've never heard of Occam's broom. Well, I could
Oh,
look
okay.
it up. I think he's just making a joke. Or no, it's a thing, I guess. A term that describes the practice of ignoring inconvenient facts to support a theory or viewpoint. I guess it's just like a confirmation bias,
Okay, yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I heard of another one, R words razor, or the R word razor,
Okay.
where like think of the dumbest explanation, and then that's what people are going to believe, or something like that.
That's funny.
I can't remember. It was something like that. I can't remember exactly how he said it. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Because you always hear everyone bring up Occam's razor, which is like ridiculous. It says like if a theory is more simple, it's more true, or something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's Occam's razor, yeah.
that doesn't make sense. That's so like, oh, Newton's laws are more simple than special relativity. Therefore, Newton is more true than Einstein.
Yeah.
Occam's razor. Like, that doesn't make sense.
I think that maybe like proponents of it will say like if you have two views that are like that can that have the same evidence, right? The same amount of evidence for each, then you pick the simplest explanation, right? Given that they have this, yeah,
It's equal explanatory power.
yeah, exactly, equal explanatory power, yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Actually, the one who tries to do that is like Graham Oppy. Like Graham Oppy would say, like everything that theism explains, naturalism can explain, and thus we should choose naturalism because of ontological parsimony or Occam's razor. Right? It's the
but
simplest.
it's just a heuristic. It's just like if you have a problem you can't solve, then you take the simpler solution.
You're right. You could yeah. It could
Um,
be like yeah.
It's not like a solution to the problem. It's not like a way to get to truth.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. That's like one of the criticisms of it, right? Yep. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's what it is. People try to say that it's some sort of valid like truth criteria, but it's not even meant to be a truth criteria. But people use it like it is.
Yeah. As the truth criteria. Yeah.
Yeah, Darth got bananaed. I literally just got unbananaed. Like,
Wait, yeah, but Darth, it's been like, quite a few. I thought like Darth like traveled or is on a break, like he forgot all about TikTok. But like he hasn't been on just because of him getting like suspended on. Oh, okay.
there's a guy, and Darth instantly got mad at him. He had a pretty short fuse, and then he started kind of
What's
yelling.
happening? Precept. What's going on?
What's up?
Brother Mars, Brother Mars, Brother Mars.
Are you a Christian?
How y'all doing? Man? How's it going? And Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy
Happy New Year,
2025.
Brando. Yeah, happy New Year.
I hope that you will continue your work into the new year. Continue bringing people around, helping atheists to see the ridiculousness of the position, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I think what you do here
Are you a
is
Christian?
good. Hmm?
Are you a Christian?
I'm a Christ follower, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm an omnium theist, which means that I've come to the realization that, at least from my standpoint, that God is the center of all belief. There's one God at the center of all belief, and that basically what it comes down to is that God has revealed himself around the world, and we've just not come to it. I believe that Christ literally wanted to sum it all up in his life and in his ministry and in his continued presence in the world today. Christ is the unifying factor, the center of it all. So that's where I'm on that. But as a hypothetical theist, I'm also interested in discussing the likelihood of any God. Rather than debunk people's God belief, I want to discuss the likelihood of that God or deity or whatever. That way, there's nothing to defend. We're simply discussing how likely it is that this God should exist. So different ways. But I like Brother Mars's his approach to um, the atheist, the way he just kind of slaps him around and sits him up on the chair and helps him pay attention. It's entertaining. It's entertaining, to say the least.
Try to be like edifying and also like humorous at the same time because
Right.
if I'm just like straight edifying, that'll be boring. So you gotta have like a little humor.
Yeah, you kind of mix it up.
I get a little criticism for my sense of humor, but what are you gonna do?
Well, it's good to have a sense of humor because it keeps people from thinking that you're being overly aggressive. I don't know why anybody would want to banana you. You're not doing anything but simply stating your position, standing by it without moving. You're unflinching. You won't move. And that's what frustrates people. You simply will not move.
We got a lot of people they want to like argue this like, well, isn't it more honest to just say I don't know? And it's like, well, why do I think live your life, like take a position, shit or get off the pot. Like why do you just want to sit in limbo the whole time? Make it stand in life. You only live
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, stand for something. Like I know as a theist, you and I can talk, and we can talk about the absolute certainty of the existence of God, and we can discuss that with no question. And now we can build and expand our understanding, trade ideas. But when you're dealing with a non-theist or an anti-theist, you really have to ask them how it is they to come to the idea that there can be a lack of evidence for any deity when they have yet to conduct a single test. No atheist, by empirical process, has arrived at the lack of evidence. It's simply a belief. They believe in the lack of evidence.
Well, that's right. They never demonstrate any of their claims. All they do is they do
Yeah,
the skeptical.
they walk right in the door. Oh, lack of evidence. Prove it. Prove what?
Well, that's
Put
why
it back on this thing.
they
Prove
hate
what?
when the precept approach or what me and Darth do is it forces them to defend their position, and they don't like that because they have no defense for their position. All they have is like, I'm skeptical of what you're saying. That's all.
Exactly. Exactly. And so sometimes I will simply toss the Bible or Quran or Bhagavad Gita, whatever sacred text I'm using. I'll just toss it to the side. Okay, it's out. It's garbage. Now what? Now that it's garbage, you can't. Let's not use it. Let's not even refer to it anymore. Now what you're going to do is give me your empirical process. How do you determine? First of all, you're going to identify the analyte because if you're going to do anything, analyze anything, you're going to get a sample of it. So how is it you determine which God you're talking about? How did you determine the test for the veracity or presence of that God or deity? And how have you arrived at the lack of evidence for that deity if in fact you've conducted no tests?
Some show up, some show they do.
Just tell me what you did. Did you test for Kali? Did you test for Ganesh? Did you test for Jesus? Did you test for Yahweh? I mean, what was your test? Give us your empirical process. None. It's just opinions, a lot of sophistry, a lot of P1, P2 nonsense syllogism, but there's absolutely no science behind what they say.
I always ask them like, well, you believe in tests. What test proves that the test is true? They always want to accuse us of circular reasoning. but then they'll say, "Well, science is true because science is true." So, it's okay.
Yeah, and science is a methodology. And I just asked them for their science. Okay, fine. Let's lay aside my theology and let's deal with nothing but science. Let's deal with you got the analyte. You've isolated. At work, what I do at Behringer, what we do is we run an HPLC. And I can determine the concentration of X component within a solution. I could just take a sample, inject it into the sample, and then the HPLC determines through chromatography what the levels or concentrations are in that particular solution. So tell me which God it is you're testing for, and your methodology for determining the concentration or presence or lack thereof of that particular deity. They have none. They have no test. They have no process. There is no secular process to determine the presence or absence of any supernatural phenomena. Nothing.
So we're not really getting any opposition up here, and I kind of want to do some reading. But
yeah, man, go ahead.
But so I'll probably end it here. I think I'm definitely gonna stream later today. But I just want to say before I go that I don't know if TikTok is gonna get banned or what, but if anyone wants to drop a follow,
exactly. I was gonna recharge my account, but I said, what if it gets banned in a few days?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but if people want to follow, let's say TikTok continues, I want to start a new channel because I got some algorithm problems on this channel.
Cool.
Well,
I want to do like a church lady character or something where like I never say anything offensive. I don't know. I'll try. It's hard. Like today, I told someone "F you," and I could probably get banned just for saying that. And then I could say it 100 times and not get banned. And then one time I say it, I get banned. It doesn't make any sense, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So anyways, if anyone graciously, if you want to help me, follow the PMARS account. And so I'll eventually move over to there once I can live stream on there. But I'll be back later. Yeah, thanks for coming up, Egypt.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, absolutely. All right, catch you later.
Yeah, later, everyone.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year.